The low-T GOP, Hunter Biden, the corrupt DOJ. We're talking to Moms for Liberty today in an NBA player. We are all over the place, and I'm back on I'm Right. Joe Biden's a crook. You know that. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I'm back, as you can tell, and Joe Biden's a crook. And I was thinking about something this morning as we look at all this Hunter Biden stuff, this Devon Archer. Devon Archer, just a heads up, was Hunter Biden's business partner, close friend, supposedly. If you can be friends with someone like that. Business partner with Hunter Biden. Joe knew him. He testified behind closed doors today in the House. And because this is the big headline today, we're talking a lot about the corruption of the Biden family, which is wide-ranging. It's really, really bad. It's ugly. This is a family that's just as dirty as the Clinton family without any of the charm, apparently. And the more we find out, the uglier it is. This is a bad family. They've been using Joe Biden's positions of power to sell something for a very long time. I mean, we don't even know exactly what they're selling, but they're selling something, right? So Joe Biden's a crook, and we're thinking about this today because this is the headline. But is that the problem? Overall with the country. Okay, Democrats suck. Bunch of crooks selling out the country. Is that the problem in the country? Or are we the problem? Let me put it to you this way. Set politics aside for a minute. I have rabbits in my yard. They're not pet rabbits. They're these invasive rabbits. They show up and put holes in my yard, dig little holes in the bottom of the trees, tear up the wife's flowers. I have rabbits in the yard. Now, let me ask you something. Whose fault is that? Is that the fault of the rabbits, or is that my fault for not taking care of the problem? You see, a rabbit, it's just a dumb animal. Of course it's going to tear stuff up. That's all it knows how to do. If I haven't taken care of it, isn't it my fault? I think about this when it comes to the state of the country and people like Joe Biden. Okay, Joe Biden's a corrupt piece of trash communist. Him and his dirtball son should probably be locked in a cage forever. Yeah, we get that. But if you were to take Joe Biden out of the presidency and make him a greeter at Walmart, which is about all he's qualified to do anymore, he would still find a way to be a corrupt piece of trash when he did that, because that's it. That's who he is. He's a corrupt piece of trash. Is it his fault for being that? Or is it the right's fault for not stopping people like that? Shouldn't we have stopped people like that? And keep in mind where we are right now, in such an ugly place as a nation, and the right, our elected representatives in Washington, D.C., still don't seem interested in stopping it. Let's focus on this Hunter Biden stuff here for a minute. Do you know that last week Hunter Biden tried to do the whole plea deal thing? Was going to get some cherry deal, and then the judge ends up putting it down. The judge ends up stopping it at the last minute. But why? What happened there? Well, the DOJ was working with, and by all appearances, straight up colluding with Hunter Biden to get Hunter Biden off on a deal. And the worst part is the part nobody's talking about. It's not just that they were trying to get Hunter Biden off with these crimes that they already know he committed. It's that they were trying to get some sort of blanket immunity in there. So, okay, well, this is just all Hunter Biden's crimes we know he committed, and anything else you might find out about. We'll just put all that as part of the deal. That's why the judge sat down, looked at the deal, and just blew the whole thing up. Said, well, what is this? What is this? Hunter Biden is guilty of everything. The Department of Justice tried to get him off from those crimes. Tried to make sure he could walk away scot-free, sweetheart deal. You understand that the Department of Justice is supposed to be a completely separate branch, right? You understand that if the President of the United States of America has a Department of Justice that works entirely on his behalf to excuse his friends and family members, all the while punishing his political enemies, that you already live in a banana republic, just a nice one. while the DOJ has been working hand in hand to get the Biden family out of jail, keep the Biden family out of jail, they've been arresting pro-lifers for being activists, putting school board moms on watch lists, dialing up 8,000 indictments on Donald Trump. You already live in a banana republic. But again, back to what we were talking about with me and the rabbits and why they're still in the yard. Whose fault is it? Here's Kevin McCarthy talking about impeachment.
This is rising to the level of impeachment inquiry, which provides Congress the strongest power to get the rest of the knowledge and information needed. I believe we will follow this all the way to the end, and this is going to rise to an impeachment inquiry the way the Constitution tells us to do this, and we have to get the answers to these questions.
Have to follow it all the way to the end. Okay? Here's Nancy Mace talking about impeachment.
Well, I do believe we are at this point. An inquiry is different from an impeachment vote and is another tool in the toolbox. But I will tell you, every time we walk the plank, we are putting moderate members that won Biden won districts, we are putting those seats at risk for 2024. We are putting the majority at risk. And it's not just impeachment that does that. Other issues like abortion, et cetera, also put those members on the plank.
2024. That next election. Whoa, let's not impeach. I always got to worry about that next election, right? Here's Rand Paul talking about impeachment.
It's not good for the republic to keep impeaching presidents and indicting presidents. Yeah. All of this stuff is destructive. The other side says, they're for preserving democracy. They're pitting everyone against each other, and they're destroying the fabric of our republic. So I think we have to be careful not to fall into the same trap.
That'd be better than they are. Let's have a chat here. We're not cleaning up the rabbits. Our side is at fault. We are so full of low-T weenies on our side that they somehow think that we're going to return this country to some sort of norms, that we're going to stop destroying the republic if we don't do the things that they do. We're above that. We're better than them. We have standards, guys, or the patented GOP line. Stop me if you've heard this one before. That's not who we are. That's not who we are, guys. I know that's not who we are. That's why the communist hordes have taken over everything in the country, because we are a bunch of pathetic, spineless, low-T weenies who think this is a friendly game of cribbage instead of a blood sport. But if they're playing a blood sport, we don't get to play cribbage. We have to play the same blood sport. You don't get to decide if you're in a war or not. The enemy decides if you're in a war or not. Oh, it's not good for the republic. Yeah, you're right. It's awful for the republic. That sucks. Oh, well, that's the way it has to be. Joe Biden should have been impeached by the low-T GOP on day one. They shouldn't even waited a week. Day one, impeach him. Jesse, why? They had to gather the evidence. You don't impeach Joe Biden because he's a criminal, although he is. You don't impeach Joe Biden for any other reason than letting the communists know if you do it to our guy, which they will, they've already done it and they'll do it again, we will do it to your guy over and over and over again. Joe Biden should be on his fourth impeachment by now, his fourth impeachment, just to let the other side know, you do it to us, we'll do it worse to you. Now, if you'd like that to stop, then we can lay down our swords and we can stop this endless impeachment stuff. But if you're doing it, I'm doing it. Communists only understand fear and pain. They do not understand returning to norms, what's good for the republic. They don't even know what these words mean. It's like you're talking to one of my rabbits and you're explaining algebra to it. That's how the lack of connection these people have to what those words even mean. I cannot take this naivete anymore. Put it on Joe Biden's mind. Put it on the Democrats' mind. Joe Biden's already talking about impeachment.
Republicans may have to find something else to criticize me for. Now that inflation is coming down. Maybe they'll decide to impeach me because it's coming down. I don't know. I love that one. Oh, anyway, it's another story.
It's on his mind, isn't it? Amazing what happens when you actually attempt to do something. Gosh, it's been a friggin' year. Still nothing. Pathetic. All right. Let's talk to Julie Kelly about Trump. What Trump's going through with the latest indictment stuff. Because apparently we're about to ring up number 4. You're not stuck in your timeshare, though. You are not. Because Lone Star Transfer exists. The family business, the small business that's going to get you out. They've helped over 18,000 timeshare owners legally and permanently get out of their timeshares. You are not stuck. You are one phone call away. They're successful 99% of the time. They put it in writing and give you a time frame. They're going to get you out. 844-310-2646. That's the call you got to make. The call itself is free, all right? Call them. Find out what they can do for you. 844-310-2646. We'll be back.
President Biden has restored the integrity of the Department of Justice, and I think you see that in this case, where he kept on, and Merrick Garland kept on, a Trump-appointed U.S. attorney to investigate the president's son. If there is not an indication of the independence of the Department of Justice beyond that, I don't know what we could look for.
Oh, Daniel Goldman. Joining me now, my friend Julie Kelly, the great Julie Kelly. You need to check out her Substack, by the way, called Declassified. I know you love when she comes on. We all do. Julie, okay. Devon Archer, January 6th, Trump indictments. There's such an overwhelming amount to get to. The president's going to be indicted 95 times. Julie, what's the updates on all these things?
Right. So the breaking news with Devon Archer, what came out of his testimony today, and then Trump posted on social media earlier today that he expects he will be indicted any day now by Special Prosecutor Jack Smith related to his alleged involvement in the events of January 6th. Of course, we know this is coming. DOJ has been investigating this for a year and a half and then was taken over by Jack Smith in November of 2022. The article I posted last night, Jesse, relates to the very strong possibility that Special Prosecutor Jack Smith could seek to deny Trump's release after he is indicted for January 6th. And I explain why. There's a very key court ruling that came down in February of 2021 by the chief judge at the time. And of course, there is precedent to deny the release of January 6th defendants charged even with nonviolent crimes such as obstruction of an official proceeding or conspiracy. And look at that mug. You have any doubt that monster working on behalf of Merrick Garland and Lisa Monaco will try to keep Trump behind bars awaiting trial? I think it's a very strong likelihood.
Julie, obviously we're just speculating here, doing an opinion thing on this question, but doesn't that seem too far even for them? And you know, I agree. I think they're going to throw the man in prison. I think that's how this thing ends. But you jail him and don't let him out during the election. Wouldn't they even be aware that that makes it look so bad you can't get away with it?
I wish that I could give them some benefit of the doubt, that they have a little shred of humanity or conscience or even awareness of the danger that poses to the entire country, the further descent that we slide into a banana republic. But after watching this DOJ and their line prosecutors, and more importantly, Jesse, every single judge on this DC district court, I put nothing past them because there's no accountability. We've seen people in jail for over 2 years not accused of any violent crime, and these judges continue to keep them behind bars. And look, the Democrats, the media, and the Biden regime have created this bloodlust among the Democratic Party base. They want Donald Trump behind bars. It's very unlikely either one of these trials, classified documents or January 6th, will happen before the election. In the slim possibility that Donald Trump does win, that will all end. So this is the only way they could get him behind bars. Jack Smith also, aside from the precedent and this key court ruling I talk about, could use the classified documents case as evidence that Donald Trump poses a threat to national security, to his community, et cetera, and that that these dual investigations are reason enough to deny his bail.
Julie, I know you've done this before and you've given us the skinny on Jack Smith, but who is this guy besides somebody who looks like an older, uglier version of me?
Oh my God, you don't resemble each other at all. But look, this is pretty timely, Jesse, because guess who was head of the Public Integrity Section, the Department of Justice Public Integrity Section, almost the entire Obama administration from 2010 until February of 2015? None other than Jack Smith. All of the Biden family corruption happened right under that man's nose. It's basically the section of the Department of Justice that deals with public corruption, government officials and their associates, by the way, which Hunter Biden would be, at the federal, state, and local level. So instead of going after the Bidens, as of course everyone in Washington, D.C. knew what Hunter Biden and James Biden, Joe Biden's brother, and of course the vice president himself were doing, Hunter Biden traveling at least 70 times on Air Force Two overseas. Jack Smith didn't care. He didn't think it was strange that Hunter Biden was going to China 5 times on Air Force Two. All this happened under Jack Smith's nose. And I would love for someone to ask him why he turned a blind eye. You know, we're told he's the greatest, federal prosecutor in the world since Robert Mueller. How did he miss all of this that was happening right before his eyes, especially the hiring of Hunter Biden by Burisma, Hunter Biden and Devon Archer by Burisma in April of 2014. I guess he was too worried chasing down Bob McDonnell and his wife, of course, a case that was overturned by the Supreme Court. So that's who this guy is, a longtime DOJ creature and apparatchik for the Democratic Party and the Obama-Biden administration.
Julie, if I'm Team Trump, which indictment do I need to be most concerned about? New York, the documents case in Florida, the D.C. one that's coming, or the Georgia one that's coming? Is it coming, Julie?
It is coming, and that's the Fulton County DA, Fani Willis, who's going to charge Donald Trump, ironically, with election fraud crimes, okay? The one that poses by far the greater legal jeopardy is the January 6th indictment. And Jesse, keep in mind, when this first indictment is announced this week, that's only the first shot. We saw just last week how Jack Smith filed a superseding indictment in the classified documents case. Jack Smith will do this, my guess is, at least 3 or 4 times in the January 6th case. What that does is it brings new charges and new co-defendants. And those co-defendants could be John Eastman, could be a former acting deputy assistant attorney general Jeffrey Clark. It could be Rudy Giuliani. It could be Sidney Powell. It could be members of the House. It could be White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. This is going to be the death by 1,000 cuts that Jack Smith, working at the behest of Merrick Garland and Lisa Monaco, will continue this assault, not just against Donald Trump, but as they like to say, Jesse, assault on our democracy. And that's exactly what these twisted people are planning to do.
Superseding indictments. So again, Julie, just dealing with me, you have to dumb this stuff down. That means this opening indictment isn't even the end of it. He's just going to keep piling on more charges and more charges and more charges as it go. Do I have that right?
You absolutely do. I mean, you have the case of, say, the Proud Boys. I think that there were 5 superseding indictments in that case. So the initial charges we will see this week will only be the start, not the end. And I'm guessing by the time Donald Trump's done, he'll have probably 15 criminal counts pending against him for January 6th, just in Washington, D.C., not Georgia or now possibly Arizona as well.
Julie, you're the best. Her Substack is called Declassified. Go get all the juicy nuggets there. Thanks, Julie.
Thanks, Jesse. Thanks for having me on.
All right, let's go local. Always got to go local, right? Moms for Liberty, Scarlett Johnson joins us next. This is going to be illuminating and informative for people who want to get involved. You want to get involved? Let's deal with that in a moment. Before we do that, let's deal with your dog. We want our dogs, big meatheads, we want them to live forever, don't we? Woke up this morning, first thing, the wife was already up. In comes the stupid dog to jump on top of me and bury his face in. He's an idiot. But I do hope he lives for a long time. And that's why I give him Rough Greens, because I want Fred around a long time. Your dog doesn't get any nutrition from his dog food. They just don't. That's why it's brown. It's dead. There's nothing in it. They kill everything in it. Rough Greens is green. all-natural nutritional supplement created by naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black. You pour it on your dog's food, watch your dog get vitamins, minerals, omega oils, probiotics, everything for the first time. Go to the vet even less. Have a healthier dog. Go to roughgreens.com/Jesse because that gets you a free Jumpstart trial bag, all right? Or you can call them 833-33-MY-DOG. We'll be back.
Among the largest of these new groups, which you may have heard of, is Moms for Liberty. And its name does sound innocuous enough. Moms, great, sounds good. Liberty, awesome. Who doesn't like liberty? Moms for Liberty. As the mom of 2 young kids, that even sounds good to me. But it's vague enough that even some of its own members are pretty unclear as to what the group is really all about, what they're a part of. Because as benign as Moms for Liberty may sound, its agenda is unmistakably extreme.
This group sounds scary. So we tracked down one of these terrorists. We're going to talk to her now. Joining me now, very scary, Scarlett Johnson. She's the chapter chair, Moms for Liberty of Wisconsin. Scarlett, what kind of terrorist training camps are you running over there at Moms for Liberty?
Oh, yeah. Well, we teach parents and grandparents, we teach them how to file open records requests, how to run for school board, and if they're successful, even if they're in the minority, how they can still be effective as a minority. We have state legislative committees where we try to work with our state representatives to advance legislation that is favorable towards parental rights and transparency in education, because we feel that parents should have a say in their kids' education, which I know it's really radical, that parents should be allowed to know what's happening in their kids' classroom and that they should be able to see the contents of the curriculum. And, you know, if a teacher decides that they're going to compel a classroom to listen to their story of how they're going to transition from one gender to another, why the parents can't even get the statement that that teacher made to elementary school kids, such that they have to be sued for that information. Yeah, I don't think we're radical. I think that's called sanity.
Can you expand a little bit on this freedom of information request thing? Because a lot of people, especially people on the right, normal people, they're not political professionals the way Democrats are, the way these left-wing activists are. So they don't. This is brand new territory for them. Expand on why that's even necessary.
It's necessary because oftentimes you will find out something from your child. You'll see a book that's brought home, or you'll attend a school board meeting and you'll hear some terminology. You'll go through a school board policy. Or in the case, in what I was talking about with Eau Claire, Wisconsin, your kid will come home from school and say that their orchestra teacher is now going to change their gender. And a parent will rightfully want to know what happened in the classroom, what was said. Kids are compelled. They're compelled to be in the classroom. They are a captive audience. And it's just not fair. It's not fair for teachers or educators or administrators to use that position to indoctrinate them when they don't have the capacity to resist. Parents, that we need to be the voice of our children. You know, it is not, we always say that there should be no woke indoctrination in classrooms. Classrooms are a place for learning, not a place for activist training. And
can you explain why people? No, can you explain why people need to run for school boards, Scarlett? I love that you're passionate about this. It's something I scream about all the time on this show. We focus on the big, sexy things like presidency, right? And the lights and the news. When local, these are the battles we can win, the battles we are winning, and they're the most important battles.
During COVID, my sense of the world broke in a way that it will never recover. And that's a good thing, because I learned to distinguish leaders from cowards. I didn't even know who my school board members were 3 years ago. I was just a regular mom, volunteered in the lunchroom, volunteered, on the playground. And I wasn't really paying attention. After COVID, I realized how important these local positions are, particularly school board, because when they shut down my kids' school, when they were forcing masks, when they were acting like petty dictators, I realized that this was a really important position, and we need to run, and we need to have candidates, and that we need to win these positions, and we are. Moms for Liberty has 130,000 members. We over 45 states. There's over 300 chapters, and these positions, school board, this is so important. Our kids' education is so vital. And these are races that we can win if we're willing to stand up and we're willing to fight for our kids and we're willing to do the right thing.
Scarlett, Wisconsin's an interesting state. I personally have had many, many good times in Wisconsin, but it's always purple. And there are parts of it like Madison that seem like they're San Francisco. And then you meet normal people from Wisconsin and you think this has got to be the reddest state in the union. What kind of a state is it now?
Wisconsin is a very unique state. It is divided. You can see ideologically a lot of times 50-50. However, when it comes to issues like what's happening with in Madison, where they just passed this county, in the county they passed something where they made the Dane County a trans sanctuary. In Madison, that is a very different area than most of Wisconsin. It is basically kind of its own little socialist like area. And unfortunately, what had just happened was that the county had passed a resolution to become a sanctuary county for trans identifying kids so that they could obtain surgeries and hormone blockers, and they could obtain those kinds of medicine, and they could do so without parental consent. And not one day after they had done that, there was on a very busy Saturday, there was a nudist bike ride throughout Madison, and a 10-year-old girl was riding completely nude with 150 adults.
Oh.
And yeah, that happened. And the police did nothing about it. Facebook wouldn't remove the images. They said that this was just liberating. This was just good fun. This is what happens when you let these things go too far. And this is not in keeping with the values of most Wisconsinites. For example, 71% of Wisconsinites do not believe that biological boys should be allowed to play on sports teams with biological girls. They believe that sports teams should be divided by their biological sex. And in keeping with that, there has been legislation recently introduced. It's called the Saving Women's Sports legislation. And that is something that is going to be progressing throughout in the fall. And it's something that Moms for Liberty is going to be 100% behind. And you know what? The majority of Wisconsinites and the majority of Americans agree. The left has just gone too far.
Oh, they have. Scarlett, go get them. Keep up the fight. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. Culture war stuff. NBA player joins us next. Before we get to him, let's get to a war that you're in right now. It's you versus allergy season. And you're probably losing. Normally, people lose that war. And you know why we lose that war? Because we focus on medicines. Which pill should I take? I'll just go down to the pharmacy and get some allergy medication. Instead of focusing on just cleaning the air. Now, there's nothing you can do about the air outside, but the air in your home, the air in your workplace. You know you can clean that air, right? Eden Pure Thunderstorm. It doesn't cover up smells in the air. It kills viruses and mold in your air, cleaning your air constantly. I'm allergy-free for the first time in my life. These things are miracles. I own like 9 of them by now. Go get a 3-pack. They have free packs for sale, $200 off, but you have to go to EdenPureDeals.com, code Jesse, all right? EdenPureDeals.com, code Jesse. We'll be back. All right, it is time to lighten the mood. And to lighten the mood, I want to give a special shout out and thank you to my friend Rita Panahi, who made sure I was well aware of this wonderful video of women. I'll see you tomorrow.